Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're in the right place at the right time. Today is Wednesday, and you're here for the Noon Report. I'm so glad that you have taken time out of your busy schedule to come join me on today. I am your host, Dr. Ron, and we may be being joined by our legend and host of this show right along with me, Mr. Lee Michaels. I've been talking to him a little while ago, and he should be joining me. So I'm looking forward to him to joining the conversation on today. So I tell you, I'm excited because it's been a minute since I had a chance to get on the air. And I tell you, when you are left to the mercy of the electric company and the cable company, I tell you, it is no fun. Okay. Just when I thought I had control over things, then I realized I don't. All right. So before we go any further, as always, I have to give a shout out to my mentor and my spiritual leader, Dr. Hunt. Dr. Hunt has been my mentor for 30 plus years. And we have been traveling in life together for this long. And he has been a blessing to both me and my family, as well as I have been a blessing to him and his family. And I tell you, if you don't have a mentor, now this is the whole message behind this. If you don't have a mentor, get one. Get someone that can help you navigate through life and encourage you to be able to be successful at whatever you're doing. Okay. So if you don't have a mentor, find someone and then get a show and shout them out. Okay. So that's what that whole message is all about. Get a mentor and have someone that can help you get to where you're going. So, look, we got a couple of weeks worth of information that we can talk about um, to get caught up on what's happening here on the Noon Report. The first thing I want to talk about is the update in the Chicago runoff election. We've got two candidates that are still in the race, and it has been a up and down turmoil type situation. And what I mean by that is the Vallis, who is one of the candidates, has been using the Republican playbook in order to run his campaign to become the mayor of Chicago. And his methods have been to strike fear, confusion. He has the support of the police union because they have gotten behind him early on, and they're just trying to scare people overall. Like, if you elect Vallis, he's going to protect you and support more police and support more things that actually have nothing to do with making you protected in the city of Chicago. It really doesn't. And then we have Johnson, who is the brother in the race. He has been getting support. And as of yesterday, they both, according to the polls, have 44% of people that are supporting them in the polls. Now, polls can have a margin of accuracy that would make you think that it's a dead even race. There are 8 to 9% people that are still undecided. There are still people coming out throwing support behind their selected candidate, organization, churches, political groups. I think that the election is very simple. It boils down to a black against a white thing. And unfortunately, um, they have turned it into that type of race. And what I mean by that is the candidate, the black candidate, Johnson, in the beginning has said that he would defund the police, but that's not what he meant. He did not mean defund the police as in take the police department completely out of the game. Nobody can do that successfully. You have to have police involvement no matter where in the city or state that you will live in. You got to have some type of police involvement. Now, if you are talking about reconditioning the police, retraining the police, and making the police more effective at their job, then that's a successful opportunity to be able to have police that are doing what they're supposed to do. See, people forget one thing about the police. Police don't stop crime. Police investigate crime. And one of the things that Johnson has been saying from the very beginning is that he's going to take some money from the police department and bring in more services, people that are equipped to deal with psychological issues and problems that a lot of people may have. And he's going to take some of the money from the police budget and work within trying to put more detectives out there to help solve some of the crimes that are taking place in our cities. And that's what needs to be understood, that we need to rebuild our police department from the ground up. Everybody needs to do so. There are many cities, there are many states that the police are part of the problem. I was thinking about this the other day, that the police are just another gang. Okay. We have a police officer that gets killed in the line of duty and they honor him to the high heavens, but they do not honor people that have been victimized by the police, because the police do victimize a lot more than you hear about. Yes, we hear about the big situations in various cities where the police are coming in and 5 people beat a boy to death on camera. We hear about those, but there are some other situations where police are killing and putting people in jail that don't need to be in jail. I was reading a news report on yesterday where Ben Crump was successful in getting a $28 million award to a person that had been in jail for 28 years that had been convicted wrongly. But he got the settlement, the $28 million, 1 year after he had been dead already. So this man was in jail 28 years and they got an award for $28 million, but he's not alive to receive it. He died 1 year before the settlement came in. So I'm sure his family or his his whoever that's still alive will receive that money. But here's a man that the police and prosecutors and the system at large totally put a man in jail for 28 years falsely. Our system is broke. So when a person or a candidate comes along and says, I'm going to try and restructure and fix the brokenness of our system, people get up in an uproar. Oh no, our system is broke. It needs to be looked at. It needs to be reevaluated. It needs to be fixed. And if we don't do something now, it's going to be more and more situations where these type of things happen. We have people that have been convicted of murder and didn't have nothing to do with it. False testimony. Police bring people out and say, okay, we need you to testify and say XYZ happened. And now they get a conviction. And then they find out that that person wasn't even in the state when that crime took place. So we got to fix what's broken. And I hope that Johnson is sincere about what he's saying and not just saying these things to get elected. But we have a lot of brokenness in government. And I was explaining to some people on one of my last shows that we elect local government. Local government has more of an effect on what happens in our households, in our communities than national government. So national government has things that they have control over, but local government has more control over what goes on in our communities, on our blocks, and in our neighborhoods. I was telling people on last week that I voted. I participate in the voting process because our ancestors died so that we can have the right to vote. And I encourage people to get out and vote in your local community, in your local neighborhood, because these elections will affect what happens in your neighborhood. So please, if you live in Chicago, if there's an election going on in your neighborhood, vote. Don't just sit on the sideline and complain about what's wrong and what's going wrong. Get out and cast your vote. And may the best man win. And I pray that whoever wins will consider all populations of people in their community. All right. So that being said, let me get out here and chop up some of the national news that's going on. On last week, there was, I want to say, a news announcement by the former president that he was going to be arrested on last Tuesday. So now, Lee and I were talking off air, and I hope he comes in and is able to join me in this conversation. That I believe that he was making this statement trying to test the water to see what people will rise up to help get him out of jail. See, it's so crazy that he made this announcement so that he can stir the water to see, well, how many people I got left that will help me get out of jail, because that was his statement. Y'all don't let them put me in jail. If they lock me up, it's political. Come get me out of jail. Come help me. Help me, help me, help me. That was his whole statement, his cry for help. And it's crazy because the New York grand jury has not issued a warrant for him to, show up in jail yet. Now, I believe that there has been a conversation about it because um, the court has to notify his security team, which is the Secret Service, because he's entitled to that for being president, that at some point in time, they're going to have to surrender him into the court system. And he's going to have to be fingerprinted, photographed, all the things that they do for anybody like you and I that have been arraigned and have been warrants issued. So his security team will have to surrender him to the New York justice system. So, in preparation, they have reached out to him and have contacted his security team, but they haven't given a time yet. They have not said, okay, be here on this day at this time. So, for him to stir up his base, the megas, the whatever they call themselves, ultra, super, mega, the megas or whatever, they have been stirred up. And the whole conversation about being stirred up means that he issued a request for them to come and get me out of jail. Now, to me, that's crazy. Um, there have been several conversations that he don't have enough people that's still out there that will follow him in this request, because the fact that many of them have been, because of January 6th, have been arrested, are still being prosecuted, still trying to be arrested, because they're only 50% of the people from January 6th have been dealt with up to this point. So there's still 50% out there that they have not dealt with. So now, out of the 50% that are still out there that the Justice Department are still pursuing after identifying and making them held accountable, I don't think they're going to show up in New York talking about, look, let him out, because that would be foolish on their part. They already got charges pending against them. So why would they show up? But the idea that this fool, yes, I call him a fool, would reach out to the people and say, come get me. Don't let them put me in jail for political reasons. Okay. And that's what he's identifying, is that all these people are out to get me. Now, there have been threats against the prosecutor in New York already. Black man, brother. He was a federal prosecutor. Now he's a state prosecutor. And he's the person that's in charge of the federal charges in New York. And he has already said, I ain't scared. You can threaten me all you want. When the grand jury releases charges, he will, within his power, bring the president in and do what needs to be done. Now, he is just one out of 3 or 4 felony situations that the president has to deal with. It's been leaked that Georgia has 11 indictments coming out of their grand jury for their involvement with trying to tell the powers to be in Georgia, just go find me some votes, change the results in Georgia. So there are 11 indictments coming out of that grand jury. There's also information that has come out on the obstruction of justice in Florida, which is a felony that he has to answer for. And then there's also the January 6th grand jury that is in place to deal with the January 6th riot and attack on the Capitol. So this man got 4 different states with 4 different grand juries, 4 different felonies coming his way. Okay. So this is something that the average person uh, doesn't understand the type of pressure that can be on a person like this. So you all just bear with me 1 second, and I'm going to bring in my co-host, Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee, Mike,
What up?
welcome to the show. Welcome to your show. Welcome to your network. We ain't seen you, so I'm glad folks get a chance to see you and know
Yeah,
you live. Now, as
good
you
to be seen.
on assignment out there traveling down the road, so be safe out there on the road. We don't want to be a witness to anything dangerous, okay?
Yeah,
You
and
know,
it is
so
bad out here. It's wet
yep,
and
yep.
slippery and getting more rain here in Southern California. Actually, the whole state is getting hit by this storm.
We'll be thankful you're not snowing. That's all I can say.
Well, it is at 3,000 feet or higher.
Yeah.
So we're in the flatlands. I like that.
Okay. And
Yeah.
and this is a conversation that you and I were having off the air
Hmm.
before you got here. We were talking about the 4 different grand juries that have felony investigations and indictments to release against the former president. And I tell you, the average person like yourself and myself, we don't have the weight to bear of the government coming after us in those type of situations.
Right.
4. 4 states with grand juries. That's deep. And the first state that allowed, you know, a grand jury, information to slip out and say, okay, New York, we've gonna, put a felony indictment. And the first response this fool comes out of his mouth is, y'all come get me. You know, y'all come
Let's
get
go
me.
get him.
No, he talking about
I'm
his
ready.
people. Yeah, no, his
Right,
people.
right.
Come get me. Come
Oh,
get me out.
well,
So
let me
go
just
ahead. I
say
know you
this.
got something to say about that.
They don't want to come get him. Not this time. Okay, if we didn't learn from January 6th, and then what was over 1,000 people arrested from that melee,
Yeah,
then
at least 50% up to this point in time have been prosecuted and
convicted.
dealing with the
Yep.
court system. Yep. They still
Yeah.
got some more to go.
Well, I think that they need to rethink this, and they here again, Donald J. Trump is stirring up the pot again, telling his followers to do some crazy shit again. If that's not enough, how many times does Donald Trump need to insult the intelligence and the security of this nation? How many times will he allow to get away with this? Okay, he got away on 2 impeachments because the coward ass Republicans wouldn't fall in line and do the right thing. Now, a significant number of them are trying to turn their back on him because it's getting thick and deep. Now, what needs to happen out of these 4 serious investigations? They need to get him this time. If we don't get him this time, I'm sorry for America because more people will lose faith in the justice system and it will again have failed to do the right thing. You can't have this many investigations against you and not get caught on something. And they're going to get him. They have to.
Yeah.
And everybody that supported the big fat lie needs to go down with him,
Yeah.
including Giuliani and all the rest of them nutball whack jobs. And those fools over at Fox Network. They're all in the same bucket.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've insulted America.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Fox Network, I think I reported on this a couple of weeks ago. Some of the star reporters that have made depositions in the Dominion voting machine
Mm-hmm.
situation have begun to crawfish. In case y'all don't know what crawfish is back up. you know, crawfish swim backwards. They don't swim forward. They they
Right.
they, they go backwards. See, I used to live in
They,
Louisiana, so I know these things. So there are some reporters that their Facebook commentations have came out and said, "I hate Donald Trump," and these are the ones that have been putting out on the air. Rupert Murdoch's key people were saying that, we really didn't support Donald Trump. We just did it because we wanted the ratings, from
no.
reporting this stupid stuff. And that's exactly what they said. I really don't like Donald Trump, but I did it because, my boss said. And then Rupert Murdoch, okay, he tried to distance himself by saying, I don't know what's going on the day-to-day operations of my news network or my station. Now, let me
Bullshit.
tell you how crazy that sounds. Okay, just that part right there. Now, you, Mr. Michaels, have ran many a network in your career. How
Yep.
many of those networks did you not know what the hell was going on your station?
None of them. I knew exactly what was going on. because I was a responsible broadcaster and I was living up to the rules and regulations of the Federal Communications Commission and the authority thereof. See, that dog won't hunt. No, that dog won't hunt. And they
Oh,
need to send his ass back to his country and take away his dual citizenship because, again, another lie and allowed to get away with it. They need to make sure that this guy can no longer broadcast in America. He can't own a network and allowed to get away with doing that type of lie and influencing the outcome of a presidential election. Can't do it.
yeah,
Can't be allowed.
yeah, yeah. Because he's trying to say that. That was his defense. I
Well,
really didn't know what they were saying on the day-to-day operations of the networking or what was going across the air. See, Dominion got him on the hook.
yep.
Dominion
Well,
ain't playing. For those
he's
that
not
are not
qualified.
familiar with this, Dominion is the voting machines where they accuse them of saying that the machines were switching the votes from Trump to Biden. And Dominion says no, that's not what happened. The accuracy of the vote was never in question, and we're suing all the people that
Good.
told that lie.
That's right.
And they've had depositions and and I ain't talking about 1 million. They talking about billions of dollars worth of liability
Right.
against these people, including Rupert Murdoch. So everybody's trying to find an excuse.
They
Okay.
can't. They can't. They can't dig a hole deep enough to get away from this one.
Yeah.
They can't. They just
Yeah.
can't.
It's insane how they trying to outduck this now to the point where it's coming out, well, I don't even like Donald Trump.
That's another moonwalk.
I'm like, really? So Dominion is like, they got a noose around their neck, you know.
Six
So
billion dollars.
yeah, man, they own them. They own them. They own them like 90 going north. And and they're going to win
They should.
because and I remember reporting on this when we had our show, Six Guys and You. They had I think it was in Vegas, a convention with all of the hackers from all over the world.
Yep. Tried to hack into their machines.
That's right. They put their machines up and told them, if you can hack this machine, you would win whatever $1 million, whatever the prize was.
Right.
And they allowed the best hackers from all over the world to let them
Yep.
go at these machines. And they came out with a total report of like unhackable. It's not going to happen. These
Right.
machines cannot be hacked. Period. And they had hands on.
Yep.
And then they had a whole convention, in
I
Vegas.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it on that show.
Yep. Yep.
Nobody knew, had heard anything about the convention, but this was a couple of years ago because we did this last year before last.
Right.
When Dominion, they wanted to be proven wrong, and nobody could prove them wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So, and you, so now you and I were talking off the air before the show today, and we talked about some of the things that had happened in the world, especially about the Donald Trump thing. Now, what would you like to see? Because I know this is something that you've been talking about continuously for the last couple of weeks. What would you like to see an outcome have out of all of these major indictments?
Everybody that's indicted, including Donald Trump, to be prosecuted, and if they're found guilty, they need to suffer the consequences, whatever the sentence is. They need to go down just as deep and hard as if it was you or me or any other citizen in this country. I don't give a damn whether you're the former president, former mayor of New York City, or any other, or a member of the House or the Senate, a governor. I don't give a damn what position you hold. You are no different than me. We are U.S. citizens and we must abide by the law. If you break the law, you suffer the consequences, plain and simple.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
it.
Yeah. In
And if
the
we don't, if we
mhm.
don't hold them accountable, then there'll be another jackass coming along trying to do the same thing, like George Santos. No, not George. What's his name in New York?
Right.
It's not Santos. That's a governor. Um, is it George
No, that's
Santos?
him, George Santos, out of
Yeah,
Long Beach. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, look at
Yeah.
that clown. He's a bold-faced liar, and the Republican Party are still allowing him to exist in the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
That in itself is criminal. The
Yeah.
people that voted for him voted for somebody that didn't exist.
Right.
Everything that he told them about himself was a lie.
Right. And
So
he too
when is lying uh, positive?
acceptable. Right. Acceptable.
Exactly.
Yeah. He has been before, it's interesting that he has been before the ethics committee, and he wouldn't lie to them, so he definitely told them everything that he said that was a lie, and he confessed it to the ethics committee, and the ethics committee is now in the process of deciding on how they're going to deal with him, because you just can't do it and get away with it. That's the bottom line. you
Well,
know
what's
it,
taking them so long to come out with
hey
a,
man, look, this the
a
federal government.
verdict?
They do
Yeah,
things, slow and steady. They don't do nothing quick, fast, and in a hurry. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
So it's just one of those things that, hey, we gotta wait it out. We
yeah.
gotta wait it out,
They hope that we stop paying attention to it and they don't do nothing, and then it gets swept under the rug, so the House leadership can have his vote. Because if they kick him out, they'll eventually have to have another vote. I think the governor has the opportunity to appoint, and the New York governor is a Democrat. They don't want that to happen.
Right.
Okay,
Hmm.
so you see why they're playing this game? It's all
Oh,
about power and
absolutely.
control.
Yeah,
Power and
absolutely.
control.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a situation where, first of all, they look bad by swearing them in. You
Yeah,
know, and McCarthy is like, hey, I'm not gonna kick him out. You want to kick him out? you know, you know, and it's terrible because lying to the public has become socially acceptable.
and
You
that's
know,
unacceptable.
yeah, it has become, that's the new norm.
Yeah,
There was a news agency that at one point in time had went back and counted every lie that Trump had made. Every lie.
they're still counting. He's like hip hop; it don't stop. he can't. He can't. This is like when you were a kid. Your mom and dad told you, "Son, don't tell a lie, because if you do, you're gonna have to tell another lie to cover up the first one." And it's like a
Exactly.
daisy chain. It goes on and on and on again until you say, "Okay, mom, dad, I lied.
Right.
I surrender. I'm
Right.
sorry, and I ain't never gonna lie again." After you get that bar of soap out of your damn mouth.
And get your tail toe up. Yeah, because
That's
that
right.
goes along with it.
And see,
You
and,
get
and,
caught.
and that's why Donald Trump, George Santos, and the rest of these jackasses are allowed to get away with it because they're never punished. They're
Exactly.
allowed to get, and that's our fault as U.S. citizens. It's our fault that we allow them to get away with it, and we have the power to change that by voting these bitches out. They're punks. They're cowards. They
Ah,
are opportunists. They only care about themselves. Every person in the House or the Senate enjoys all the benefits that we give them by voting them in. They've got
right,
the best health care system in the world, probably, certainly in the United States, but you don't.
right. That's right.
Your health care system sucks compared to them. They don't have to pay jack shit, nothing.
That's right.
And everybody in their on their staff gets the same kind of treatment. Why do you think these people are so adamant about becoming a public servant? Because of the benefits and the
Right.
access to the real movers and shakers, the people that come around and court them to get them to vote the way they want them to vote, the special interest
Absolutely.
groups. It's a lot of money in that. Look at the wealth of these members of the Congress. How in the, you almost said something wrong. How in the hell can they be worth 30, 40, 50, 60 million dollars on less than $200,000 a year salary? Tell me,
Absolutely.
explain it to me.
Yeah.
Between
Yeah.
insider trading and they lock up the Stewart for insider trading, and every one of them are doing the same damn thing. So
Absolutely.
lock your damn self up. How about that?
Absolutely. Well, look, time is up for today. We got to get out of here. I want to encourage anyone who's interested in coming on this network, Street News Now. We have plenty of time slots available, plenty of broadcasting hours available. If you're interested, reach out to streetnewsnow.com, fill out a form. Someone will get back in touch with you and help you get your show in a time slot on this network. Okay, we got a lot of airspace available and we like to fill up more and more. If you are interested in being a reporter for Street News Now, catching action where you see it at in your community, in your neighborhood, reach out to anybody on the administrative staff and they will be more than happy to help you get your show up and running. And
Mm-hmm.
please subscribe, like, and share. Please subscribe, like,
Help
and
us grow the
share.
network.
Yep, let's grow the
Yes.
network. You know, I'm gonna toss it back to Lee since he don't come on enough. I'm gonna let him give us our final words before we get out of here on today. You know, Mr. Lee Michaels, tell us what you want to say before we get out of here.
First thing I want to say is if you're not registered to vote, get that done. Get more involved in the political process. Unfortunately, the school systems around America have eliminated civics in most cases in our elementary, junior, and high school or middle school, as they call it nowadays, out of the curriculum. That needs to go back in because most people, well, maybe a lot of people, don't understand the political process and how it works. So we need to get more people educated in the process, number one. Number two, be kind, be generous, be fair. If you see somebody on the streets that needs help, don't automatically think that, well, they're a drug addict and, they're alcoholic. Many of them are. But a sandwich, a bottle of water, some kind words of support will go a long way. And in California, Los Angeles, I understand now there's almost a 500,000 people living on the streets. Do you know that's the size of some medium to small size cities? I've lived in cities that have less than 500,000 people. So we need to eradicate homelessness, and we have a part to play in that by helping someone. If you can help one person get off the streets and get into a more productive mode in their lives, guess what? We all grow from that. So those are my closing remarks. Thank you, and I support you and this network because it belongs to you. It's Street News Now, the street level. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And join me tomorrow. We're going to have a special health report. So don't forget to catch me tomorrow right here on Street News Now. See you guys on tomorrow. Peace.
God bless.